was fine when you pulled me down. You said the stars would answer. You said our prayers were written down. I was fine when you pulled me in. We were forced to be human, and then the world came after, and I had never questioned it. And they said it was wrong. We started it all.
Don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Very warm welcome back to the TELUS Esports Series 3. You know us, you've seen us before, especially if you've tuned into this tournament, but Zephyr, something's changing today. We're actually already in game, so let's go ahead and jump into it because the playoffs have begun here at the TELUS Esports Series. And Zephyr, what does that mean?
Well, for those of you who maybe weren't here, we organized all of these teams into their respective competitive decisions so they can face off against some player bases that maybe are a little bit more equivalent to their skill level. Now, this is where it starts, Dia. This is where it truly counts. Your performance in these individual series will contribute to your standing that leads into semifinals as well as finals later this month.
Now, at this point in the day, you know, it's our first time jumping into the playoffs. It's the first time that a lot of these teams have faced off against other squads that are of the same caliber. Previously, you would have been just playing against anybody as we were being sorted into division. So it is going to be a challenging lobby. We actually haven't dropped a squad yet. Fergix going just below half HP is the first one to even hit that marker. 15 squads left. L is going to go down first, and the Timbits might be drawing first blood.
I know we had some words about at least Blinkster here previously before we got into this match, but we'll see if we can deliver on some of those promises you alluded to, Dia. 103 with the PK before that reload. Meanwhile, Perchix on the other side, and we'll say sayonara to this Newcastle, at least at some point. There we go.
The gold bolt was really putting in work for Blinkster there. Otherwise, I don't know if we're getting those reloads, and Blinkster may not get one even so. Does get hit by a seer scan, but still turns around and beams with a 301. Where is he getting these golds? A mag and a shotgun bolt is what's keeping Blinkster in the game right now.
I don't know where their rotation came through from here or what our drop paths looked like, but even if you're starting out towards that trials area, I mean, that is a lucky start for the Timbits here, and one that has catered to them not only in this fight, but also getting that official reset off here. Now they get the opportunity to loot up as we start to take a look at some other teams, potentially ones that a few fans of at least the TELUS Esports Series might recognize.
Certainly hoping that you do, especially if you've tuned in 2 seasons past. Over here in, not Countdown, we're over here in Survey Camp with the Canadian Demons, who were rotating previously through Skyhook with just pure gray shields, but have actually managed to find themselves a little bit of extra HP, and have taken a weirdly non-aggressive route this game.
Trev Stacks and crew here, full purple. So looking really nice in terms of their own sustain here. Something that I will make mention of is even if this lobby counts as much as it does, there is still the fact that we do start with a reduced amount. So there's, especially on World's Edge, a little bit more freedom when we start talking about rotations and how things tend to play out.
Gonna make this beacon all the more important though. Cobra will be grabbing the scan by No Name, revealing the positions of all enemies on the map. It'll be really good for Ryan Reynolds to get an idea of where they should be pathing next. And I do wonder, because it'll say a lot. If they head up towards the north, they're taking the path of most resistance. If they go south, they don't want to play against anybody.
Obviously, we'll get to see that almost immediately with the utilization of that evac tower. And the fact that we do have at least a few squads in parallel here does show me that it's just a transition. Play for the zone, play for the end game here. And it's definitely something that I kind of wanted to talk to you about. As these teams realize that, you know, a little bit more is at stake here. And they need to be playing for some of those wins in those big point games. How they address these kinds of rotations, the style of play. I know during our at least qualifiers, everything was very edge-oriented, high kill, high tempo. Does that slow down now that we're in playoffs?
It is a big question, and honestly, Zephyr, it's not one that we're going to be equipped to answer until we reach the later stages of this game. Even now, I think a lot of teams are quite hesitant to fight up against each other, some of which perhaps haven't fought during the entirety of the TELUS Esports Series so far. So, we get later into this one, it does look like everybody's starting things off by holding zone. That absolutely has the potential to change.
Ryan Reynolds and crew, after their evac tower, will find themselves directly in the face of Landslide. We know they were on the tails end of another team here. Now, granted, getting set up in Landslide is fairly easy for any first approaching squad. I do worry for Ryan Reynolds. We know for a fact that there were other teams wandering in this kind of fragment or otherwise area. So the fact that they're going to extend themselves back towards the edge of this tunnel, start to play a little bit more gatekeepers, I think an appropriate decision.
Yeah, and with a two-squad standoff in Landslide, you see a drop. You've always got the opportunity to dip back in through the tunnel and make your presence a little bit more felt. At the moment, it's that cautious play that you and I had talked about earlier. In the south, there's not a whole lot of action, but it is towards Countdown where we really have to pay attention to teams that are going to be rotating very close by others. Timbits still absolutely in the mix and perhaps taking another engagement.
Now, obviously, with their reset and earlier countdown, they haven't moved far at all, especially given the presence of this zone here. Blinkster, once again, going to be that first entity to start to look for something, but with damage like that, he's got to be looking the other direction. Start to face some heals here. A soft reset is it's up to Purgix and Lane to defend.
One of the best things about playing Horizon in that situation, though, is that it's so difficult to push out through these double doors and into a Horizon who could be in the air when you could be walking into a black hole. It's simply not possible for these teams on the inside. So Timbits have all the power right now. Their biggest concern must be a flank coming in from squads rotating nearby.
Team C1W keys here on the opposite end as Timbits finally breach through this door. They're going to look to see if they can capitalize on this crack there. Ales down. There is a bit of a blockade on that door with that cast wall, but a perfect singularity finds double cracks necessary as you might have to weight this ultimate down. That gravity lift on the opposite side making this difficult here, and it's blocked out as well on that door. Finally, Lane able to respond.
I love the zero hesitation in this play. It's very clear right now that Timbits are going to be taking this win no matter what happens inside this building. Lane going to be the one to finally finish off Team C1W keys, but it's a great way to do it because in that fight we saw zero hesitation from Blinkster on the Horizon Ultimate. This team is so clearly working well together, and after the long break in between competitions, I'm glad that Timbits are so clearly feeling gelled and ready to go. Canadian Demons perhaps feeling the same way, but the slow will stymie their push for now.
So notably, when it comes to this team, we saw the level of aggression, especially out of that fan favorite Zerbo, come through time in, time again. Now, the comp really hasn't changed much at all here. So, for Treesome on this kind of defending angle, will they face the true Canadian Demons, or have things tempered with some of that time in between our series?
Yeah, what does the advanced look like this time around? I mean, last time when we were in the advanced division during TELUS Esports Series 2, Canadian Demons were, I'll say, fighting for the top spot. They were one of, if not the favorite team. This time around, though, we don't have that information. They clearly don't either, and are playing things a lot safer. With Pyra having to take a reset, and Steezer doing the same. Now is the time for Canadian Demons to push, but even now, they are playing hesitant as out goes the creeping barrage to just push them back once more.
Mind you, Zuni coming in here on the opposite angle, as this is going to be a little bit of a pinch now for the Canadian Demons, facing two of these squads at once on the hest of that zone. And actually, even with that rolling thunder, I fully expect the Demons to have now, yes, rotated towards this cart, take some sort of resupply, recovery here. They're going to lose out on one as they're officially pinched. You've got also on the opposite end here, my apologies, Timbits.
It's a big benefit of coming from the south is that you have these people beacons that you're able to hit on the way in. Canadian Demons just haven't had that. They haven't gotten the opportunity to see where anyone else is, and now they're finding out that so many of these teams are rotating from the north. It's a very unfortunate situation for them to be in, especially as a duo. And now they got to play the game of survival, of turtling for as long as possible. They've got 0 KP, 13 squads left to do it, a limited amount of time to recover the banner of Decoy. Although I will say, to their credit, Decoy is running a support.
Now, granted, getting a support this late into the game stage of that full banner reset is incredibly difficult, especially when you look at the next place that you can actually make a replicator work here. We'll tune in with Kill on Sight on the opposite side of this wall here. Meanwhile, Aim Assist, We North the Cap, and many others set up. We North the Cap is going to be one of those squads that does hold central position on Landslide, so check in with them later, especially as it comes down to potentially our winning fights.
Treesome still laying in a bit of damage, keeping Canadian Demons honest. It is so clear that this lobby has really leveled up just due to how much this squad is being tested. As Zone 3 closes in, there's no time to fool around anymore. You've got to get in or this zone will cook you alive, and Impulse Boy and Harp are gonna get pushed. No two ways about it. With a Newcastle walking at you, you're going down, and Bricked on the other side of this have a Pathfinder and a Bangalore. Not a whole lot of ways to escape. Big Arc Star to try and defend. Impulse Boy will put down some decent damage. Somehow they're actually holding this angle, and Bricked should not be able to do this.
Bricked as a duo, though, still going to be forced to rotate just to keep themselves competitive in terms of a better positioning here. And like you said, I'm as shocked as you. At a numbers disadvantage, they are still not punished in any real way here. Meanwhile, countdown and what might be the end of the Timbits. Purgic's going to be that last remaining member who's truly full health to put up the damage here. Armada and Pit Penguin likely hiding within that building there. And Purgic's looking. Major cracks found here as we say goodbye to the Canadian Demons.
I thought we were waiting for the gravity lift, but no. We end up dropping down an evac tower to continue on the aggressive push. Remember, Seer can't actually spot you while you're in the air, so this 2v1 gonna be a bit of a surprise as Blinkster has to jump back down, but Purgix is so clearly able to hold his own. Already took the 2v1, and with a Digi, he finds Flesh. You know Purgix is taking no prisoners here. Finishes off that kill. 10 seconds guy go down, and as a duo, Timbits survive yet longer.
I'll tell you what, they already put down so much early damage there that it was going to be a difficulty to truly come back into it. Mind you, we are still dealing with this kind of coverage here. Bricked as a duo, holding out the full 3-man force. I mean, they've got double angles, both sides covering here. That Newcastle is a little difficult in terms of even finding damage down, finding an appropriate knock, and really punishing. But at the end of the day, the climb up, the fact that this rotation is necessary, makes it very difficult, even if you are standing against only 2 people.
It really does, and I do not envy having to walk into a situation like this. I will say, I believe Newcastle's still alive out here somewhere, and oh, there he is. Gonna make this approach just a little bit easier. Unfortunately, as many have discovered, counter to Newcastle's abilities so often is just shooting them.
Rick here looking for off angles. Impulse on that other end might be sent on as height is officially lost here for Harp's GG. Still though, with the tracking angle from behind, they will find a knock that equalizes the fight for now. Back up on top with that Pathfinder, and oh no, shot from behind. Even at the face of great control, Rick still have to look for more. Harp's down.
That is such a disheartening way to go. Bricked, unfortunately, now, I mean, they've already shown us some incredible stuff as a duo. As a solo player, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Looks like we're trying to go for the res right here. However, for that, Rolling Thunder's going to come down. Impulse Boy is going to get this bat off in the nick of time. And hopefully be able to turn this around for the squad. Quick Res going to go off on the low ground, or is it? Who's coming up on this? Are we coming up on this?
Take your time, wait it out, allow those rotations to come through, and then take your chance with the med kit. Take your chance with the sounds that lead ahead here. Meanwhile, Perjix on the other angle, still finding some KP to behold when we talk about that Timbits roster.
Oh, that was so close. Oh, that was so close. Gosh darn it. We'll keep our eyes on the kill feed to see when and if Bricked go down, having already lost now a member to Full Thirst. However, over in Landslide, that's increasingly been where we've got the biggest contest. We, the North, have held this position for as long as I can remember, Zephyr, and they've not given it up with a Loba and a Catalyst. It's really much easier to hold this height.
Now, obviously, still going to have to look for some next angles ahead here as we do start to pull back over into the wall. As Moonlight drops down, it will be a knock on to Cap from that cart there. Great tracking from James Ragnarok to allow for that next movement. It's going to be that full wipe as we say goodbye to WKK, but they've got to be careful. This kind of height, this kind of angle with that damage is nothing to look now.
Good way to start things off, though. Rolling Thunder will buy them a bit of time. Maybe the chance to take the secondary zip line. No wall for James Ragnarok to make this any safer. And, interestingly enough, height isn't in for them anymore, so they're going to have to play down by the low ground. Trev stacks, laying in punish from above, but doesn't quite have the angle to make this work. Just lost Loba, as next is going to fall. Moonlight attempts to circumvent the situation by playing the smallest of angles, but Shreesum will go down first, leaving us with 4 squads left, and James still in this.
We North Cap, though, reduced to 1, and we know how that goes. Not very fun. Ryan Reynolds, this crew, though, coming through from that train line, waiting, biding their time, now only having to hunt out 2 rats to pick up the first win of the day.
And in so many ways, Zephyr, Ryan Reynolds is the pride of Canada, and we get to see it happen once more, this time in Apex Legends. That's exactly the way that you want to start off the first game of the Advanced Division playoffs, is with a good old Ryan Reynolds win. I'm very happy about it.
I suppose so. It looks pretty, it looks good, and hopefully it's something that's going to keep Ryan Reynolds above the rest of the competition here as we make our way through some of our last matches of the day.
I want to check it out real quick. What's his most recent movie that Ryan Reynolds was in? That and more. That is information that awaits you on the other end of a very quick break as we get our lobby set up once again for game number 2.
Is that a phone? That thing's a gaming machine. Is that Faker? Everyone, fasten your seatbelts. And here we go.
This dead off drop. They are bunkered in Stormcatcher, playing things safe.
To see the ballistic work here, but with Shanahan already down, a massive wrecking ball. Please.
Oh, Jesus. That was one of the most brutal things I've ever seen in Apex Legends. Just for damage, but instead to close the gap. Horizon Ult's going to break the initial reinforced door, and it looks like it's not going to be put back up again. Instead, dead off drop have dropped yet another Ting. Yarki on the seer even. Popping inside. Bello gonna take down 1 for right now, and confidence with the R9 brings him to an almost solo wipe of the Canadian Demons. And the Brick lads sit right in between both of these teams. Horizon Ultimate going to expose Duck Tenna for a little while, but Mello makes sure to cover with the R99 from a distance. Luminosity go down, and the Brick lads are your champions.
And Mando are set up on the interior here, gonna hold on for dear life, and you gotta turn around, you have to aim at least, you gotta do something.
The Meno Knights fall 1 by 1. One final individual.
Brick lads are looking to make short work of this.
All right, well, we're going up. Let's see who's going down. Brick lads pick up their second victory in a row. Started coming through. Zerbo's gonna have to back up. That's a 90 with the PK. What did I say about this guy? Puts the demon in Canadian Demons. He's gonna drop down once more with a drop kick out of the sky. Luminosity have just fallen apart in the face of the Bricked lads, but these are the two players that made it happen, and now they've got a very small corner, but still one that could work them into the end game. Mello's not going to be a part of this, but you drop into zone, and Doc swoops in like a hawk, picking up Niche and taking it a 2 versus 2. The flank around the side, and Bricked lads take their third game in a row.
What's going on, guys? It's the Ma here.
I'm Cheesy Potato.
Yeah, I'm playing in the TELUS Invitational.
I've always really been a gamer, playing Halo, and then I eventually transitioned into Call of Duty, into Fortnite as Battle Royales became a little more popular. And then I eventually stepped into Apex Legends. The thought of becoming a content creator was just a mere dream that I had. My brother, Dr. Moz, pushed me out of my comfort zone to essentially start streaming, and that's when the grind for competitive Apex and chasing high Apex Predator ranks began.
Started Apex at day 0, first day the game came out. And yeah, I worked hard then. I was playing on console at first and just playing pubs all the time with a couple buddies. The longer Apex went on, the more serious I got about it. I started putting in more hours, putting in more work, making more content, like falling in love with the game in general. The only advice that I would give is basically just grind and put in the hours. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Just find like a solid group of friends that have the same mindset as you and then just grind.
The biggest thing is putting yourself out there, whether that's chasing high ranks for content creation or to start scrimming and competing in tournaments at the highest levels, such as the Apex TELUS tournament.
Welcome back, everyone, to the TELUS Esports Series 3. Yes, you did see us moments ago, and yes, you're going to be seeing us for the next couple of games, as we've still got 3 more to run today. 3 more opportunities to put up as many points as possible, which is so often the goal. Let's actually bring this up, Zephyr, so that we can talk about what the playoffs are in the grand scheme of things. We touched on it as we got into last game, but it's all about points. It's always been about points, and it will continue to be about points.
Correct. And right now, that's where those points start to ring true today and tomorrow through our divisional playoffs, as our teams have now been organized, and then we'll host them, hopefully, a position in our semifinals and finals coming later this month, a little bit late there, all the way on the 29th and 30th.
So as long as you continue placing the top 5, top 10 of your respective lobbies, you've got the chance at walking away with some of the $50,000 worth of prizing that TELUS and our sponsors have been generous enough to put together. A big shout out, of course, to the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, Skullcandy, Logitech, and Astro for making this event possible in coordination with TELUS to bring Canadian gamers together. And another thing, by the way, well, we've got you here. If you are watching this and wondering how you can get involved yourselves into the Canadian esports scene that TELUS is so generously continuing to support, check out our Discord. We've got it linked just below, so if you want to scroll over there, or I believe you can find it in the chat as well, you've got plenty of options to connect with other gamers across Canada and maybe get the chance to participate in a tournament like this yourself.
Well, I'll tell you what, here, at the end of the day, it's the best opportunity for these players to key in. We can't appreciate more of what TELUS Esports Series is doing, especially now that is their 3rd time around, and hopefully we may see a 4th in the future. All that being said, though, Dio, we've still got 3 major games, major takeaways for the teams that you've just seen to continue to perform here.
That's absolutely true. And I do want to say, as we prepare to jump into game number 2, I know this is an Apex Legends stream. We've also got Rocket League and Sideswipe. So, you know, there's opportunity for everyone. But yes, Zephyr, as you said, we'll refocus moving into our next game of the day. Of course, Ryan Reynolds, who was recently in the hit film Ghosted, ended up picking up the last win. At this point, you've already put yourself into the top couple of teams, and that's going to be in the best spot for you as the team Ryan Reynolds. However, Canadian Demons, who we had our eyes on going into this round, as always here in the TELUS Esports Series, fell a little bit flat.
Yeah. Alongside them, Timbits, though, performing very, very well right off the rip there. While we didn't get to see them perform into our last top 5 remaining in terms of the lobby, they still picked up a wealth of KP that I know kept them competitive, and that's important, especially for a format like this. Right now, we're talking about standard ALGS. You put up the placements, you put up the kills. But what I'm looking for is how these teams can transition that kind of explosive power into, say, something like the match point threshold.
That's where things get really difficult, and your ability to put up repeat wins really matters. Though it is only 4 games that we're playing today, that's also something that I'm looking for as we play across 2 separate maps. We did have our first on World's Edge. We're going to actually be jumping into World's Edge one more time, but after that, it's Storm Point time, and that's where things get really tricky, where teams have to coordinate their wins, not just back-to-back, as so often you'd love to be the case on match point format, but in situations where you are constantly shifting your playstyle, where team drops are constantly changing, and you're not able to rely on one old and gold strategy.
Right. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, this is still a great opportunity for teams to get well acquainted now, though, with some of those that they might be facing off against, at least in the future, right? When we talk about the teams that you're seeing here, this is the divisional break. So the practice that you are getting is what you will likely face when you get to the end-all be-all at the end of the month.
Absolutely. Like, the really difficult teams here, those are the scary ones that you're eventually going to be playing against. And it's tough because it means that you don't get a break, that things only get more difficult from here on out. And that especially is true here in the Advanced Division, where, as a reminder, during our Open Division, during the qualifying rounds for the playoffs, things did tend to be a lot easier for these squads. And getting away by just being a team that could shoot gun good meant a whole lot more. Here, almost everyone can shoot gun good.
Well, shoot gun good, they'll have to do here, especially for Pyra and Helix. I will say they don't know what kind of gun good force they've got on the opposite end. The Timbits here have yet to truly get themselves well acquainted with the loot here in this kind of East Frag area, but might be starting to look for response.
We've swapped up our landing spot. Timbits, they wanted to get a little bit more feisty. Landing over by Monument, I guess they saw, you know what, it's pretty open, or perhaps we just had the better end of a lot of fights and want to get them going faster. Whatever the reason, they are certainly getting them going faster. A lot of white shields on the table, only one blue that I saw for Timbits, and this area of the map is something that all these players are going to be very used to engaging with each other is. However, Hexy takes a big chunk. Pyra tries to hit with the peel with the Seer Q, but isn't quite able to connect. Either way, Hexy is going to go down to a tap-strafing Horizon through the building. That is my nightmare, Zephyr. Steezer falls. Pyra finally takes down Purgix, but just can't do anything against the onslaught of Timbits.
It's hilarious. It's even worse seeing it from that specific perspective. A Horizon launches past you, and by the time you respawn, they're already gone. You turn around, you've got a gun muzzle placed right behind your back to take you home here. For the Timbits, it is already 3 KP to start them off. Reminder, last game alone, they picked up 11, the highest in our remaining lobby.
God, they were just bloodthirsty. I don't think I've ever seen such a violent Timbit, and unfortunately, Moonlight, well, doesn't seem like they're getting away scot-free either. Somehow still alive with just a little, wow, that is not a wall, with just a little bit of HP given to them by the shield cells they're able to pull off with this gold. We, the North, the team that held high ground in Landslide for so long last game, are now trying to do the same thing in Monument, but now on the back foot.
Now, I will say for We the North, they are given that full reset, so for now, we'll tune in directly with the Canadian Demons. I would say, in terms of the early loot, maybe not the best, but the fact that they've already found Hails down means that they are going to be 2v3 going into this scenario. That'd be a huge reward to reap, especially with some of that purple and the Evo that we do see listed. Still though, gotta chase this one down, and seems like they are losing a little bit out in terms of that kind of tempo.
And there's still a lot of time left on the CD for Zerbo's Grav lift, so they're going to turn around and pick up whatever loot they can in Skyhook instead of spending their time chasing down a kill that they could easily pick up later. It'll be a slow rotate in for Canadian Demons, one that they can hopefully stay in control of this time. And I like the transition up to Skyhook for this reason. It keeps them out of the rotation zone for a lot of other teams. That was what took them down just earlier last game.
Now, obviously, we'll start to look here for Canadian Demons as they're going to take advantage of the Crafter for now, but they really don't have that far of a rotation. WKKK's cap there will find at least that full knock and maybe potentially more there, as I believe, yes, 10 seconds guy is officially out and eliminated.
What was happening there? Over in the south, looks like launch site had somebody landing on him, and at this point, I mean, we're still quite early into the game, 13 squads, but teams are getting very close to each other as the ring pulls us ever further out and into the east. You guessed it, the Timbits are right back at it, trying to, well, find themselves a few more kills and cement their bloody legacy in the TELUS Esports Series 3. It's working pretty well for them, although Blinkster has to take a quick step back. Gravity Lift still available, as is the ultimate. And with plenty of cover from Lane and Purgix, Timbits will continue the push-up.
Eat Chicken here going to be laying out that Rolling Thunder for now as Timbits finally assault upon this specific building here. It is a Newcastle response with the castle wall to truly start to lock this kind of fortress out of play here. Alice as well, but this door not under control means that you are guaranteed to get this singularity. It is a massive crack. A drop found in the corner is silent. Blizzard goes down, and now you are literally stuck here up on the high ground. Nowhere to go. That'll be it for L here. And reminder, this is the team they took down initially in Count, and why not send them home through the black hole?
Oh, God, that was beautiful. The Timbits with Blinkster's killer play on the inside make perfect use of the black hole again, and this time turn it into a double kill. Picture perfect way for them to finish the engagement in Monument, and what I can only hope is now a rotation to move out into the east, where Kill on Sight are trying to make their escape, weirdly enough, back into Monument.
Straight into the I would say Lion's Den here as Ion Hercules do finally drop off. Now, granted, a lot of this area has officially been cleared out, especially after what we saw from the Timbits, so maybe they get the opportunity to get a little bit more looted up. Meanwhile, though, Eat Chicken, Lady, the only remaining member, has run for the hills here and takes their time in terms of how they're going to address every little corner of this game. It is a guaranteed rat situation.
Just gotta get to the Crafter. Just gotta get to the Crafter. It's really important to be running a support legend in these lobbies. There's a lot of variance in spots like this, and here in the TELUS Esports Series 3, where every point matters, and you only have 2 days to put up as many as possible, getting your teammates back into the game is such a shift in momentum. It looks like it'll be able to happen up towards the north, as we don't see a whole lot of crowding over there. However, the rotation into Survey Camp is again occupied by the Canadian Demons.
From this kind of height right here, they'll find big damage down as Deco cleans up Pangy in their full force. Gonna be a bit of that Rolling Thunder to delay for now, but with this kind of aggression seen before, I don't think we'll be seeing them slow any real amount here. Searching into the epicenter area, it is just Sail stuck on blue, and well, not even that.
This reminds me of that song that people used to play when I was in high school. Yeah, it was in all the montages. You remember the Sail song, right? I can't sing it because I don't remember enough how it went. I just remember that at some point somebody yelled Sail.
Zerbo. Oh no! The Timbits here coming through
indeed.
on perfect cleanup. It's the best situation, but the worst for that of the Canadian Demons. That Rolling Thunder coming out here will be the preferential decision-making as Decoy is still caught out in full here. Zerbo with his own response, Singularity down, will be broken almost immediately there. Still, 46 on the shield as Decoy is allowed to reset. This is good for them.
I cannot believe that Zerbo was able to stall out 1v3 and now take the off angle. He's got no cooldowns of any kind, but he's kept Canadian Demons in this fight, taken the reset for the entire squad, and Lane has almost no HP above him. Zerbo will continue on this push, unaware of the danger above him, or is he? As he considers the climb, up comes the gravity lift. Lane surely going to bite the dust as an incredible amount of damage gets Lane out from the sky, but Zerbo hasn't found the kill just yet, needs to push up a little bit further. The peel is incredible out of the Timbits, and Zerbo now has to take the reset. Pressured against the wall, finally finished the shield bat just in time, and takes down the Timbits with a laser beam coming out of the R99.
For the Timbits here, they have started off strong of our game one, but they finally meet the full force of the Canadian Demons. You have to hope the points they put up in game one are going to be enough to carry them, because I think the Demons might be back.
That was just a masterclass in how to Uno reverse card a fight, and Zerbo again showing the audience why he is the highlight player of the TELUS Esports Series 2 and likely 3 as we get deeper into the competition. There is no underestimating this man.
Whew. We in the North Cap, though. Another team to discuss here off the back foot. They were the ones that were in primary position for our end zone, but still, I believe, only finished 5th overall or 4th overall after being taken out. Still, great points and placement there, as they haven't really sussed out any other team, but maybe put some damage down that counted earlier.
And they, fortunately enough, have a lot of sustain, again, with things like Catalyst, especially in the positions that they're choosing to hold. We, the North, do have the ability to lock down doors, hold high ground where other teams simply do not. The zone, as it appears, continuing to pull further east, and what I'm curious about, Zephyr, is that we don't have a whole lot of teams rotating over into Geyser or Overlook where you can actually get zone scan. Instead, focusing on the kills, and you can see why when we've got Kuzme and Wi-Fi heading straight at you.
Gap coming in here a little bit off of that back end, but the damage is done. Magical Muffin being the last remaining member for Aim Assist Abuse will try to launch for this building, and he needs to immediately start to chain this med kit up here. Will get the heal off officially, but in terms of the rest of this team's survivability, it's done deal for Aim Assist Abuse. They take running for the hills here, and I can only imagine what the game plan is now.
Oh,
and
God.
Apparently it's dodge.
Yeah, another med kit gonna have to be immediately popped, barring a miracle. Canadian Demons are gonna continue farming up. This is on a duo, Bio and Hercules, who were previously rotating around through Fragment, are now dead. There we go. There they went. Canadian Demons got it.
Canadian Demons now heavily in the lead of this current lobby. A kill leader found on Grandpa with 5 picked up thus far. You can notice they take no time to cater towards this zone. Instead, they're rapping through it one step at a time all the way around. Now, Nettie, Moonlight, and crew have found single knocks here for Ween, the North Cap, and we'll look for more. Gonna be at least the Thermite on the other side that goes for the full confirmation in terms of damage in the wipe there on That's Wahi YouTube, and I believe they pick up 2 at least there, so just a singular rat that has escaped.
And a great way to be able to stabilize back here as well. We mentioned it earlier, but defensive abilities out of this Catalyst mean that you can recreate that door, hold this choke point again, and keep your back secure. WKK on the low ground are looking up at the Canadian Demons. Their backs aren't secure, and looking at the way this is playing out, neither are their fronts, but a triple red didn't happen accidentally.
Can I say, though, by the way, that I'm Lati, our last remaining member of Chicken, was spotted just a distant away from them, running through the houses there. So WKK completely missing that one there. But still, they found much of their success coming through from Southside. And I think they're actually, I was about to say, someone's got to look at that.
Surely, right? Walking past a red weapon. I mean, they are not bad weapons in the care package this season, by and large. I've seen people pass up a bow check every now and then, but you got the opportunity to pick up an L-Star,
yeah.
Even a Hemlock, right? It feels ridiculously good, and WKK clearly want to make the most aggressive use of the firepower that they've already got. playing close quarters combat with
There it
Kuzme
is.
limiting the escape options from the team on the inside.
A little bit confused on the door preferential there, but hey, WKK will still find at least the ordinances where they count. Big damage found from Wi-Fi and still looking for more on the interior. Ami, Madzi, looking to survive as long as they can. Aim assist abuser stuck in the corner there, and they finally break the door down. It's a massive crack. They have to delay because of the Arc Star. Cap looking through the window.
Can't quite finish a kill. WKK keep having to take miniature resets on the outside, and it means that this door keeps getting erected. Kuzme gonna try and roll in with the L-Star. Again, this is gonna be enough damage to finally take down Madzi, unleashing WKK onto the map, but with Wi-Fi down, Cape having just recently taken a reset, it's time to push him with the L-Star again. Kalat is gonna take down Team C1, and WKK we'll have the opportunity to finally finish off this squad. A little bit more damage. Kuzme needs to play with the knowledge that he's the only one in the building, and he gets taken down from the outside. WKK recuperate Wi-Fi, but they lose Kuzme and may have lost control of this fight.
They've got to find somewhere to source their success, because at the end of the day, they have now lost two. It is up to Wi-Fi to pin this one out. Gonna try to see if they can go for that revive even after being focused, but it is a huge return for Madzi and Aim across the board. Now a 3v2 situation, and Kuzme looking no better, taken down once again from Heart GG. Wi-Fi left to very likely rat this one out.
These bleed outs are going to be instant soon enough. You've got almost no time to pick up Kuzme after this fight has devolved, and we see finally how much a long 3v3 can really hurt you, as we've got another one breaking out over by the fence line. James Ragnarok pops over the fence real quick, finds a knock, and then instantly joins back with the rest of the team. We, the North Cap, continuing to play slow, defensive, and really clean Apex Legends.
Hey, take your time here. They sourced out a huge chunk of their KP from their last matchup, and hey, even fourth placement, if it isn't a win, is still phenomenal in terms of racking up something that'll count, especially towards those semi-finals here. For We the North Cap, obviously, not much more to suss out. Impulse Boy has taken towards the opposite building, and in terms of a next rotation, they've got bigger things to worry about. Look at how much space Canadian Demons have in control here.
The entire north side of this map, plenty of room. I will say, if Canadian Demons have to move any further south, things could get a bit hairy. They've got limited cover over by this train line, and whether we pull into No Name or not is going to be a big determiner of how the rest of this game plays out. One thing's to be certain, though. It ain't going to be easy to take down Canadian Demons, especially if your team is being whittled down as you try and make it there. Somehow, WKK have all three members up again, and Zephyr, that just feels illegal.
They've managed to make their way back into it, even if it isn't going to come entirely at the success of that earlier fight. Still, though, being a full three-piece is something to count towards your end game, so hide nor there. The WKK, they lay control over these buildings as a whole, and that's good, especially given that our zone's coming on the way back here. Wi-Fi's got to be careful, though, with double Catalyst Wall down, though.
How did he get those shield breaks? The Arc Star is clearly putting in work on the Moonlight, especially. Cape still down here, and with Kuzme holding high ground, WKK control almost as much space as the Canadian Demons on the other side, but the key word here is almost. The zone going to continue pulling us further towards the south, and look at how WKK's position is going to age. They're the ones with the best position in the zone right now. Only a few buildings left that are safe.
Now, We the North Cap, they know for a fact that they don't even have the building to play for this next further position, so they have to move out here. It's going to be that massive Dark Veil utilized to give them their next rotation, and with that Rolling Thunder, it might not be the damage, but it is more than enough to give them what they need.
Amazing. The nobody shot Nate on the way over. The Prowler almost corrects that misstep from North Cap, and as they get flanked from behind, things again look pretty doomed, not just for them, but for WKK, who pick up the quick shield swap. This is a gold knockdown on Kuzme, so quick reset with only 5 squads left is exactly what the doctor ordered. Limited space in order to make this work, and waiting out the Rolling Thunder means that Cape's pickup is going to be really heavily encroached on by the zone. They have no time to recuperate, no time to heal, and Kuzme's on basically 1 HP.
Has the medkit available there for that reset. And one thing to take note is the fact that Canadian Demons never took the opportunity to move forward. As a result, WKK is going to get major resets off here and have this full high ground to their advantage. Now, granted, we still have lots of questions of how they take that specific 3v3, but they are allowed to present themselves in much more form and fashion than expected.
This is a funny way to end the circle as well, with 2 teams out in the open and 1 in the building. Typically, I'd be looking at this and really sweating as the team in the building, right? This is, oh my god, especially as a rat. Really not what you're hoping for. Everybody should be focused on you, but with a Rolling Thunder to, I assume, dissuade these 2 teams, nobody feels comfortable pushing up and maybe losing a member in trying to eliminate just a rat. Nobody here is playing for second, Zephyr.
Also, the second, kind of thing to note is the fact that they may not even know, right? In terms of readability with that building alone, you'd have to have been tracking to understand that it is just impulse there. Now, granted, I think most Apex Legends teams can sniff this one out here. So, objectively, this direct 3v3 going to be the deciding factor. Remember, Dia, last week that we got to cast, it was Canadian Demons picking up the first 2 games in a row when it came to the wins.
May just be them attempting to replicate that performance or as close as they can to it, given the awkward start to their day. A few seconds left, though, leaves none of these teams in a rush to fight, and Impulse Boy sweating bullets on the inside as he will have to walk out into WKK. And remember, if one of the members of WKK go down, recovery is nearly impossible. Not only is there just 1 other squad left that I'm sure will push you, but death timers are exceedingly low. They will bleed out so quickly.
Things ticking ahead here. Canadian Demons with great upper angles on this kind of spire, as a lot of that back end high ground space is no longer available here. Grandpa's being a little bit risky and frisky with it. Bricked is all said and done, so we are officially down to our direct 3v3. Darkveil utilizes Singularity thrown out. Zerbo is looking.
Just eliminates one whole angle of escape. Does not get the stick in the air. That Arcstar will come back down eventually, however. And he's got somebody who's just landed in his black hole, so why not take them down? Kuzme instantly bites the dust, but Zerbo, slowed up by the Arcstar, will go down himself. It's just up to Grandpa, the kill leader of this game, the hero that Canadian Demons needs. And with the smoke through the impeded vision, has a digi threat to make this work as well. Finds a red shield on the other side, is gonna get flanked, can't quite put out the damage with the Volt, and will go down in the air. WKK clutch it up for the win.
WKK, your victors of Game 2, as we almost saw the resurgence of the Canadian Demons. And Dia, when I tell you that it's as close as it gets, I mean, we are talking fractions of a centimeter here. It was a slight delay on the positioning of the Canadian Demons. They didn't go for the full send. Grandpa kind of covering that back line as both Decoy and Zerbo full send forward. Decoy goes down. Zerbo, as good as he is, can't quite get the double return. As Grandpa finally shores it up, they're already recovered.
It's in a typically pretty stylish way for the Canadian Demons as well, but credit where it is due. WKK went through their own personal hell to find that clutch. Good lord, what they had to endure on the way there, surviving through what was an incredible amount of, there's a word that I'm looking for, when things go not your way. Help me, Zephyr. What is it? Conflict.
Conflict, sure.
Sure, obstacles works as well. In No Name, did not look fun. They did it. They earned this win. They're going to be able to take that with them on to Storm Point. Our Storm Point game, our third game of the day, will be coming up right after this.
Is that a phone? That thing's a gaming machine. Is that Faker? Everyone, fasten your seatbelts. And here we go.
This dead off drop They are bunkered in Stormcatcher, playing things safe.
To see the ballistic work here, but with Shanahan already down, a massive
God.
wrecking ball.
Jesus.
Please.
Oh, Jesus. That was one of the most brutal things I've ever seen in Apex Legends. Just for damage, but instead to close the gap. Horizon Ult's going to break the initial reinforced door, and it looks like it's not going to be put back up again. Instead, dead off drop have dropped yet another Ting. Yarki on the seer even, just popping inside. Bello going to take down one for right now, and confidence with the R9 brings him to an almost solo wipe of the Canadian Demons. And the Brick lads sit right in between both of these teams. Horizon Ultimate going to expose Duck Tenna for a little while, but Mello makes sure to cover with the R99 from a distance. Luminosity go down, and the Brick lads are your champions.
2v3 situation now. Bassa and Mando are set up on the interior here. Gonna hold on for dear life, and you gotta turn around. You have to aim at least. You gotta do something.
The Meno Knights fall one by one. One final individual.
Brick lads are looking to make short work of this.
All right, well, we're going up. Let's see who's going down. Brick lads pick up their second victory in a row. Coming through. Zerbo's gonna have to back up. That's a 90 with the PK. What did I say about this guy? Puts the demon in Canadian Demons. He's gonna drop down once more with a drop kick out of the sky. Luminosity have just fallen apart in the face of the Bricked lads, but these are the two players that made it happen, and now they've got a very small corner, but still one that could work them into the end game. Mello's not going to be a part of this, but you drop into zone, and Doc swoops in like a hawk, picking up Niche, and they can get a 2 versus 2. The flank around the side, and Brick lads take their third game in a row.
When I first heard about the TELUS Esports Series, I was like, there's no way.
I was absolutely stoked.
You don't really hear about esports at all in Canada, let alone from a big company like TELUS.
Nice work.
Canada does have a scene, and we do have people who are thriving towards getting us into that bigger picture.
2 versus 1, and it should be their game. The Bronze Bonobos from second, now finally find first.
Simply put, the TELUS Esports Series is esports for everyone. It's our take of what we think the esports industry should look like and where we think it should go. It's way more fun to compete for something when there's something on the line. And the TELUS Esports Series gives players of all skill levels opportunities to experience that. We really want to make the gaming experience more fun for everyone, and we want to help the gaming industry evolve and grow the way that it should. And I think the time is right for it.
World's Edge.
World's Edge.
World's Edge. That's it. I'm a Wraith main. I love World's Edge. I love my buildings.
World's Edge.
World's Edge, of course. I'm a Caustic main.
R301.
The flatline does so much damage. The hip fire is insane. Now it's 10 times better than the R301. Definitely the flatline.
R3.
Flatline.
R301 every day of the week.
Oh, 100% the card.
Volt.
That's tough.
Car.
Car.
I'm gonna have to go with the Volt. 3x on the 301, the Hemlock, or the Charge Rifle.
2x Bruiser.
2 times Bruiser.
2 times HCOG.
The 2 to 4 is insane. It used to be the 3 times, but now it's a 2 to 4.
I like the Assault class.
Assault.
Oh, Wraith. Oh, my baby girl, she got a buff, and the animations with her hands look so good. I was like, oh my god, they spoiled her. I was so happy.
I'd definitely say Controller is my favorite, mainly because I am a Caustic main.
Probably the Controller. I'm more of a zone type player as well as an anchor, so Controller would be great for me.
What's going on, guys? It's the Ma here.
I'm Cheesy Potato.
Yeah, I'm playing in the TELUS Invitational.
I've always really been a gamer, playing Halo, and then I eventually transitioned into Call of Duty, into Fortnite as Battle Royales became a little more popular, and then I eventually stepped into Apex Legends. The thought of becoming a content creator was just a mere dream that I had. My brother, Dr. Moz, pushed me out of my comfort zone to essentially start streaming, and that's when the grind for competitive Apex and chasing high Apex predator ranks began.
Started Apex at day zero, first day the game came out. And yeah, I worked hard then. I was playing on console at first and just playing pubs all the time with a couple buddies. The longer Apex went on, the more serious I got about it. I started putting in more hours, putting in more work, making more content, like falling in love with the game in general. The only advice that I would give is basically just grind and put in the hours. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. Just find like a solid group of friends that have the same mindset as you and then just grind.
The biggest thing is putting yourself out there, whether that's chasing high ranks for content creation or to start scrimming and competing in tournaments at the highest levels, such as the Apex TELUS tournament.
Welcome back to the TELUS Esports Series 3, where the Wi-Fi is strong and the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra makes it all possible. My name is Dia. I've got Zephyr with me. Zephyr looking increasingly ripped as we prepare for our third game of the day. It must be the quality of these games that's empowering you, or at least the slaying power that we're seeing from the teams that make it into the end game.
I'll tell you what, Dia, these teams may be strong, but I am stronger. Okay?
Oh, yeah?
I'm bringing the guns out to play when it comes to the TELUS Esports Series, and it is because of the guns that I'm seeing here today. I mean, I gotta catch up to Canadian Demons and Timbits and apparently WKK, who have been absolutely shredding it after that last match. But hey, things change up, Dia. We're heading to Storm Point, and that means a re-evolution of how these teams approach Apex.
No, they were absolutely crushing it over on World's Edge. And Zephyr, we've actually got something that I've prepared just for you. It's a little bit of commentary from Zerbo on what he thinks of Storm Point. Ready? Cut.
Great.
That was incredible. Thank you, Zerbo. For those of you unaware of the joke that I just made, Zerbo doesn't speak. Zerbo doesn't speak at all.
Zerbo doesn't.
Game.
Nothing.
And that's something that we talk about all the time. And so now you know. And next time that I make that joke and fake Zephyr out for a second, you'll be aware. But the Timbits, as we have constantly been made aware, are seeking early game fights. They are looking for hot drops in their area, and they seem to have found one with a Bloodhound. They are certainly ready to contest.
Now, I believe this is we Captain North here, so to go down early would diminish so much of the hard work the North has put into the last games of World's Edge here. For the Timbits, they're facing early loss against the Canadian Demons coming off of World's Edge, and they want to make sure that they continue to reaffirm the points that they once beheld here. So, as they do look, nothing just yet. Urgic's caught from behind, but still finding that knock on the net there. Blinkser takes to the skies. Moonlight goes down again at the hands of Purgix, and now a 2v1 situation. No knockdown shield will keep you high and above the rest.
That Mastiff was really putting in work as well. Car Mastiff, one of the better loadouts that you can drop in with. I don't know if you like the Mastiff, Zephyr, but
love it.
It has, yeah, it's become one of my more preferred shotguns.
No, I'm a Mastiff gamer till the day I die. Maybe it's a little bit of the copium of Season 1 Mastiff vibes, but at the end of the day, that horizontal spread, it gives me joy, Dia, and I hope it's something that maybe gives these players joy as they find that first fight there.
Certainly going to give half of them a little bit of it, right? You get 3 points early on for the Timbits. You correct a little bit of what went on during the mid game just minutes ago. As we move over towards Mill, we've got another fight that could break out as a slow rotate has brought Trevstacks, Riley, and Cobra right to the front of Mill, and they've got the signal that crafting is happening in front of them, so the Dirty Dogs, they could be in trouble.
Take their time, craft as they may. They've still got a few seconds to get themselves set up here. Wallhe, McNuggy Butt, and Rousey haven't quite really sniffed out what might be going on yet. Finally, the shots do come through, but it is immediate in its return. It's only Rousey who really truly faces the behest of that action there.
Havoc's still really good in the early game, but you do have that small bit of rev up time that is just allowing this bit of pressure, the early momentum, to look really good opposite Dirty Dogs. Instead, we're going to take a moment, try and reset with a Seer and a Catalyst on the inside. You've got some really good safety inside of Mill. See what the Dirty Dogs can work with. As for right now, they've got guaranteed vision using the Seer ult, but that's only going to last a few more seconds.
Now, if I am correct, I assume this is Ryan Reynolds on the opposite side here coming in. So after the game 1 win, this is not a team that you don't want to sniff snump nat. Say for them.
You don't want to what?
Cobra looking for an entry angle here. Singularity going to break down this door and hopefully find the Arc Store as well that finds that damage.
I really love moves like that where you instantly break the door, put down some pressure. It is read perfectly, however, and Shrevstacks hits a wall bounce but cannot get away from Rousey, whose killer instinct is claimed a member of Ryan Reynolds. They may actually be on the not just back foot but losing end of this engagement unless Ryan Reynolds can put up some incredible performances with Cobra. Their resurrection onto Trevstack's not going to go off, and instead we are being pushed on the high ground again. I cannot believe that we are seeing this. Gonna get one trade back. Ryan Reynolds needing to finish things off with a shield swap, but Cobra can't do it in time, and it comes down to a, I believe, 1v2.
No, I believe it might be a 1v1 there now. Off the back end of that knockdown shield. A single Catalyst ahead and nowhere close to putting any damage down. The Dirty Dogs go home here as now, well, Ryan Reynolds are quickly third party. Hey, Brick. Don't shoot the boxes. You don't deserve that.
This is the jackpot for Bricked, though. Perfect timing. They walk into 6 fully looted Evos and Death boxes. I mean, you can't ask for anything better.
There is no revive, no timing, no heal. Bricked literally gets a swoop in. I mean, they breathe. They breathe on Ryan Reynolds, and they are awarded heavily.
I didn't know we were hosting this tournament on December 25th. That was my bad.
It must be their birthday. No.
Yeah. Timbits, they try to make their entry in the same way as Brick, but their third party does not go nearly as well. They got to dip and dive out of there with no knocks, no cleanup on the other side. And this is where Storm Point can get a little bit difficult. You're playing out in the open. The rotation from Cascade did not go as planned. And Timbits have to find some way get into the next zone, and that's what the team challenging them on the high ground as well.
Timbits here still looking where they may. Shot from both angles. They've got all the time in the world to bloodhound this one out, sniff a path to success here, even as they may spread across in full force. They will regroup inevitably here. There is still only 12 squads left standing, and that does leave more than enough space on a map as big as Storm Point.
It really does, especially with only 12 teams. Your rotational ability is very much expanded, and let's not forget that the Timbits, as one of our only teams to be running Bloodhound as well, have the unique opportunity to make use of the Ravens scattered around the map to scout out what teams are closest to them, what rotational paths are going to be the most fruitful.
Timbits here, obviously still on full retreat. Meanwhile, with their arrival to this building, it will be the crossfire from Purgix and Blinkster to suss out Pyra there. Still looking for more. Purgix arriving with that full scan. Will detect hostiles ahead, but can't quite deliver the beam alongside it. As a result, guaranteed to go down. Stees are now necessary in terms of the cleanup as Blinkster arrives. I'm surprised. He runs right past what is supposed to be clean wipes here. As a result, it is just Lane against the Bane of 3.
Decent damage with the R99, but no Digi, even through the smoke, is not going to be enough. Tries to play Trixie around the wall, but remember, it's a 2 versus 1. The Timbits get way too aggressive on Treesome.
I feel like minor miscommunications turn into dastardly mistakes here for the Timbits, and truly what is supposed to be a very clean and advantageous fight. And granted, this is something that we got a little bit of a taste of when we saw them aggress upon what was Canadian Demons in our last game. Something that you're at an advantage, you already have the damage numbers, you know you're going to be in the most successful situation, but that kind of rush, that kind of assault, you're put on the back foot, and then you're looking for more.
It's a really nice way to be able to recover, however, for Treesome, who have not been able to put up a lot of points today. They get 3 KP off of that, repel one of the strongest teams in the lobby, eliminating them from play in the 3rd game of the day. And now get to move their way forward into a zone that is increasingly wide open. It is another benefit of Stormpoint. We talked about this a bit already, but with a limited amount of teams even on the map in the first place, there's a lot of open positions to play here as well.
Yeah. The Acorns, a team that's looking to, well, find their route here, see if they can really lay down and grow where they may here in the North Pad area. Ooh.
That one's not flying with me.
They feed off of blood, I'll tell you what.
Oh my god. Oh my, okay, well, these are different Acorns then. We are working with something else. They are going to get quite aggressive throwing out the Horizon Ultimate. This is unlikely to connect with anybody, but
so deep.
I guess it's what we'd call a zoning ultimate, because you know it's not hitting anyone, and Harp and Impulse are out of there.
I'm shocked the follow-through doesn't come any further there. There's a slight separation, but with the response of Harp and Impulse making that full cross, Hail showing up on opposite angles means that they still could be capitalized on here, otherwise just by Team C1. Hails is a little less than successful, Mango as well, but it is still a major split, though. Oh, come on.
Oh my god. C1 are being shot in the back, too. They can't even finish it off. Impulse survives another day, and there's an arc star at their door. C1 may very well now be the team being pushed. Remember, from their south side, if I got the team right, there shouldn't be a Horizon Ultimate to open up with. Instead, it's going to be arc stars, CRQs, and a lot of harass.
At this point, you really wish you had something like that Singularity to play off of here for Classics. They've got one themselves, albeit stuck in a corner, shot from both sides. It's not looking like they're finding their success. Meanwhile, Impulse taking down Zuni leaves me to question the sustainability of our friends, the Acorns, now left as a duo.
We've got another zoning ultimate out here. Classic buys the team some time. C1 are still in this, but we are in a 3-way tango that I don't think anyone expected. C1 least of all, and yet they're managing to survive it.
All right, it looks like you've got a bit of that spread as Impulse and Harps laying down from one angle, Acorns on the opposite side. They have a little bit of a tussle themselves that takes it down to duos that now pinch C1. I'd say, hey, great. Duos are the weaker of the two, but at the end of the day, it's 4 versus 3.
Tangy and Sales are going to be backed off, just watching Harp and Impulse, not wanting to double down on their mistakes from previously. And C1, they've lost a lot of meds, they've lost a lot of time, but they have come out all the better when compared to squads that surround them. Meanwhile, up in the north, same cannot be said for Treesome, who have gone down to WKK, are winners of game number 2. And right now, what are the strongest teams in the lobby?
Tell you what, they're chanting, "We the coolest kids." They find themselves in success with full wipes, but now to defend against more here. Amzi, Aim Abyss, and that Singularity, it's actually completely deleted, giving Cap the time to pull away. Dark Veil means full recovery, and they've done it. They even actually find damage off the back end of Cap's Rolling Thunder.
They're actually so good. Like, WKK repelled that push perfectly, and it was in the middle of nothing. Wow. They used a catalyst wall, a car, and a single smoke to get all the way back up onto the height and take charge of this engagement that was not started by them.
Now, here's a problem. As good as I love them, the coolest kids in town still have to figure out how they are to rotate. Love this. The double evac tower play a bit of a distraction here. Which one to take? Either way, Canadian Demons on that opposite side have the beams to track. Kuzme looking so low, and as they take to the sky, I can only question. They are forced to come all the way back down for full recovery. Hap's got great off angles here, but he's got to look at the hands of Mirage. That's never too easy.
A bit of defense, though, and Decoy was found out. Once you know which Mirage clone it is, really difficult as Mirage to escape, so the Canadian Demons do have to hide behind some cover. It has stalled out those evac towers for long enough, however, that on the low ground there isn't a clear escape for WKK, and Canadian Demons are taking a little bit of revenge for what happened to them earlier in game number 2. 15 seconds left on the close, and they can play to hold out the members of WKK.
Aim assist abuse will officially, though, be finished off. We checked in with them fairly early on. We sent them home in 10th as we now start to breach the single digits of placements. I'll tell you what, Dia, Canadian Demons, as great as this roster is, I was shocked to see them maybe not in the best position and how they tried to send that one forward.
Unfortunately for them, they've just been met with so much more resistance than they grew accustomed to in the open qualifiers. This has been a day of learning, of readjusting for the Canadian Demons, and it has started to look a little bit better for them, a little bit more paced, but the points aren't quite where we're used to back here in the TELUS Esports Series. Team C1, having weathered the storm from earlier, did grab a little bit of loot on their way in and have set themselves up for success, continuing to play out towards the western end of Stormpoint.
WKK potentially about to pinch teams ahead here. Hit Penguin, able to find, I guess, at least that first knockdown onto Madzy, but WKK, they don't take it. Instead, they're looking towards the future here. Rotation into that further trench line, and actually something that does set them up for potentially end game positioning.
Now, where do they actually want to play? Harp's got a decent spot. This, what is it, octagonal building? Not going to be the best.
This is a good
Gazebos. Gazebos, I think, notoriously difficult to hold in the end game. Once you hit 3 squads, they're good. When you're still at 9, I don't know, Zephyr.
I personally believe it depends on where that dead side of zone is, right? And I will admit, WKKK, or my apologies, incorrect statement there.
Just 2 of them.
They will find themselves in a situation where they will have to pull against at least the one team on the back end here to at least take them away, but full aggression under tow leads me a little bit worried. Last time around, we saw this kind of position as a spot that was pinched out, especially for C1.
Yeah, I think it, looking at the map, is exactly the same place as where C1 held. 10 seconds, Guy. Do fall. 8 squads left. WKK, as you said, have opted into one of the riskier strategies, trying to hold out and balance teams that could sandwich in on them from both sides. That's a Kraber that we just heard. Wi-Fi, not too happy about that one.
Out from the, at least, depths, I much prefer this positioning here. Zuni and Sales left in shreds of their former positioning, and as we finally see the assault of the gravity lift, the Acorns will be eliminated. Double singularities down, though, in response as C1 are quick to return here. It's already the full knock onto Wi-Fi, and they've got seconds, if many, to potentially look for recovery. Once again, that well-placed time Dark Veil might be the tool they need to make this happen.
Kuzme instantly having to dip right back into this small bit of cover, however. This is going to be the best shot they get at rezzing their falling horizon for access to the gravity lift, the singularity, and so much more. WKK have everyone back in the game. Need to grab a little bit of safety once more, as that's something they had forfeited previously, but are going to try and poke out up towards the top, finding that they can only be shot in the back. Kuzme, lucky to be alive, retreating back towards the team, but the zone has started to close, and WKK are out of options, out of time, as they push back in to what was formerly their safe spot to try and clear out this squad. Nice explosion onto Harp.
Well done.
Leaves us with just 1 member left, and another res onto Wi-Fi 0 is miraculously going to go off.
They're lucky it's a duo that hosts themselves down in the depths below here, because it was about as dicey as it remained. Impulse Boy, that last remaining member, likely to run into KOS here in seconds ahead. Meanwhile, We checked in with the Canadian Demons. We're choking out teams on the opposite octagonal building only moments ago here. Little to success. They will start to force their way into what I can only assume will be everybody's final game position. This is nasty. There is nothing.
Very awkward angle, but I really like
Trench.
where Zerbo's isolated to play. There are a few spots here that do provide some head peeks, notably actually here on the low ground, but cannot be pushed on by the teams that are going to be coming from the south. It's got to be a slow position for Canadian Demons, where they keep other squads from being able to encroach on their territory before taking full advantage of the sightlines that it offers.
Now, here's the thing, though. They have to be absolutely perfect in how they find this kind of response, right? Any team that forces their way forward and gets you pushed back, you will be suddenly at a deficit, a literal low ground to have to compete out of here. For now, though, eat chicken yum, and a slip of the tongue across the board, and I'll tell you what, not everybody looking fantastic, as kill on sight don't look like they last for much long in the face of Grandpa there.
Lady does quite a bit of damage to trade things back for eat chicken. In parentheses, yum. Lady, unfortunately, does fall quite low once again, and the Newcastle ultimate has to be expended outside of the zone, giving them limited options for when this eventually closes in. If they even make it there, you do not get the chance to survive, it appears, as Eat Chicken, in parentheses, yum, do go down. A duo taking them out, and we're popping into our final couple of squads as there's increasingly less playable area. Team C1, having managed to survive to now, is sharing space with the Canadian Demons and have a few boxes to play if Classic can make it there, and they cannot.
This is almost like deja vu situations from our last game. WKK versus the Canadian Demons, and Hales is putting some real damage down. It's the perfect scenario for teams to walk up. Canadian Demons with their reset, they take to the skies here, looking for recovery as Zerbo is low, forced to bat almost immediately. His decoy stuck on the low ground here. Zerbo unable to get full reset, and as a result, WKK, they potentially walk into their second win of the day.
I can't believe this is happening. Watching WKK, I will say, take this game so much easier than their last game. By miles and miles, or rather, this is a Canadian tournament. By kilometers and kilometers, so much easier.
And the craziest thing is, even if you are a team that is set up in the best position to win, you still have to deliver on that result, whether it be a zone that pulls towards your POI or potentially less of a challenge when it comes to the teams that, well, put it to you. For WKK, though, Dia, I still think they had to fight against the world to make this one happen. Don't forget what was their rotation out and away from the initial nut buildings outside of the wall, where they had to make quick recovery with the Dark Veil, then suddenly to the opposite side of zone. We're talking double knocks onto Wi-Fi in two situations to look for that kind of revive, and then finally they are granted the game-winning position after all of that.
They get to the end game circle and they sound like Bane. They're like, I was born in the chaos. I was molded by it. And they look so incredible in these end game situations where split-second reactions are required. Where playing on just a little bit of HP becomes the decider between walking away with 9 points and walking away with 12 for a victory. An incredible double up on wins for WKK, especially as we look further into their season, where eventually, should they make it to the finals, as it appears they'll do, match point is going to be really important, and it's going to be where these wins truly matter. They'll have the chance even to show us what it looks like to put up a three-peat should they have the opportunity. We do have one more game left today. Another return to Storm Point. WKK are on fire. Can they keep it going? We'll find out after the break.
Is that a phone? That thing's a gaming machine. Is that Faker? Everyone, fasten your seatbelts. And here we go!
When I first heard about the TELUS Esports Series, I was like, there's no way.
I was absolutely stoked.
You don't really hear about esports at all in Canada, let alone from a big company like TELUS.
Canada does have a scene, and we do have people who are thriving towards getting us into that bigger picture.
2 versus 1, and it should be their game. The Bronze Bonobos from second, now finally find first.
Simply put, the TELUS Esports Series is esports for everyone. It's our take on what we think the esports industry should look like and where we think it should go. It's way more fun to compete for something when there's something on the line. And the TELUS Esports Series gives players of all skill levels opportunities to experience that. We really want to make the gaming experience more fun for everyone, and we want to help the gaming industry evolve and grow the way that it should. And I think the time is right for it.
This dead off drop. They are bunkered in Stormcatcher, playing things safe.
To see the ballistic work here, but with Shanahan already down, a
God.
wrecking ball.
Jesus.
Please, please.
Oh, Jesus. That was one of the most brutal things I've ever seen in Apex Legends. Just for damage, but instead to close the gap. Horizon Ult's going to break the initial reinforced door, and it looks like it's not going to be put back up again. Instead, dead off drop have dropped yet another Ting. Yarki on the seer even, just popping inside. Bello gonna take down one for right now, and confidence with the R9 brings him to an almost solo wipe of the Canadian Demons. And the Brick lads sit right in between both of these teams. Horizon Ultimate going to expose Duck Tenna for a little while, but Mello makes sure to cover with the R99 from a distance. Luminosity go down, and the Brick lads are your champions.
2v3 situation now. Ibaka and Mando are set up on the interior here. Gonna hold on for dear life, and you gotta turn around. You have to aim at least. You gotta do something.
The Meno Knights fall one by one. One final individual.
Brick lads are looking to make short work of this.
All right, well, we're going up. Let's see who's going down. Brick lads pick up their second victory in a row. Started coming through. Zerbo gonna have to back up. That's a 90 with the PK. What did I say about this guy? Puts the demon in Canadian Demons. He's gonna drop down once more with a drop kick out of the sky. Luminosity have just fallen apart in the face of the Bricked lads, but these are the two players that made it happen, and now they've got a very small corner, but still one that could work them into the end game. Mello's not going to be a part of this, but you drop into zone, and Doc swoops in like a hawk, picking up Niche, and making it a 2 versus 2. The flank around the side, and Brick lads take their third game in a row.
World's Edge.
World's Edge.
World's Edge. That's it. I'm a Wraith main. I love World's Edge. I love my buildings.
World's Edge.
World's Edge, of course. I'm a Caustic main.
R301.
The flatline does so much damage. The hip fire is insane. Now it's 10 times better than the R301. Definitely the flatline.
R3.
Flatline.
R301 every day of the week.
Oh, 100% the card.
Volt.
That's tough.
Car.
Car.
But I'm gonna have to go with the Volt. 3x on the 301, the Hemlock, or the Charge Rifle.
2x Bruiser.
2 times Bruiser.
2 times HCOG.
The 2 to 4 is insane. It used to be the 3 times, but now it's the 2 to 4.
I like the Assault class.
Assault.
Oh, Wraith. Oh, my baby girl, she got a buff, and the animations with her hands look so good. I was like, oh my god, they spoiled her. I was so happy.
I'd definitely say Controller is my favorite, mainly because I am a Caustic main.
Probably the controller. I'm more of a zone type player as well as an anchor, so the control would be great for me.
Welcome back, everyone. The TELUS Esports Series 3 continues with our now final game of the day here in playoffs. Zephyr playoffs, as we've noted so many times today, very important for these teams, and we're just about ready to pop into that game. So we'll be loading onto Stormpoint extraordinarily shortly to see if WKK can do it again.
Oh, it's something that even the Canadian Demons themselves haven't been able to do as of yet. They're still only sitting at their 2 wins when we talk about our last time we visited the TELUS Esports Series, at least here on the official broadcast. I would absolutely love the narrative of WKK taking the win 1, 2, 3 against Canadian Demons. They've done it twice, potentially 3.
And it'd just be so nice to see, because we're already getting a bit of transfer between our challenger circuit in the North American ALGS and here in the TELUS Esports Series 3. But I mean, you'll recognize Kuzme and Wi-Fi. They have been around the challenger circuit for a very long time. They even picked up a win in the very early days of this year's challenger circuit, and that's for all of North America. Their talent being put into this context and still being able to find dominant performances in Canadian Apex Legends, it's wonderful to see.
It is more than wonderful. It is phenomenal, and it's hopefully something that it is something that hopefully will continue to appear. And I hope not just here. I hope this has implication and impacts across the entirety of North American events as a whole here. So definitely something to think about across the board. We, the North Cap, I want to take major notice. Do not start in Cascades this time around. They actually opt for a weaker POY here in Shipball after what was their destruction.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with mess with the bull. Yeah, you don't want to mess with the bull and get the horns. That's the expression that I was looking for. At this point, you're hoping for a safer approach into this game, because that's what got We the North Cap all of their best points on World's Edge, was their incredibly patient maneuvers into an endgame scenario. It's worked out well for them so far, and this time they are going to be doing exactly the same, albeit out of a different POI. So this will impact their rotations, as it will those teams around them.
WKK take their time, get themselves looted up. Obviously, with the initial match of Stormpoint, I do want to make mention of it. All those early kind of tirades and general chaos that was taken in place are delayed this time around, right? Teams understand who set themselves up where. And they want to make damn sure of it, that they are in the best foot forward, so they land differently. They give themselves the space. It's very similar to what we saw out of North here. This action here outside of Down Beast will be the first we officially get to see.
It's exactly the opposite of what we got last game as well. The Dirty Dogs taking a little bit of vengeance for what occurred to them in last round, where they got pushed out in mill. Now, they did manage to survive that, but got third-partied instantly afterwards. Now they're the ones getting aggressive on Downed Beast, and they've already found some decent opening damage. They've got height for Walla as well. And this is a fight that they are large and in charge of.
Taking their time upwards in height is obviously the best situation that you can be in for Wally. Yeah, send that grab lift down, get the whole roster up here to lay in stake and control. But I will be honest to you, we say control. The truth is, Down Beast is huge, right? There's so many entries, exits, pathways. Your escape is always guaranteed in some way here. It's almost inevitable that we see some of these teams lose here. McNuggy, but definitely going to have to be on a swivel to get the job done.
And I will say, you also don't have to leave if you don't want to. Downed Beast still inside of the next zone. You've got a little bit of time, but now with Walla down, you have to fight. Dirty Dogs can give no more ground, and they will not expend the Catalyst Wall here to make things work. Instead, use the Seer Scan first. still be unable to pick up Walla. They're going to be pushed on around the side. Rousey gets rounded on. McNuggybot is able to save him, though, and it's just for a little while longer as he now is on 1 HP, and the Dirty Dogs go down. Ryan Reynolds rises again.
This is what I'm saying, Dia. You got so many points of exit when it comes to that down beast area that if you are not absolutely sure of locking it down, stake in control, I mean, teams will take advantage. And Ryan Reynolds, especially after being a winning squad on the day of, they do just that.
You've got to be giving, say, appropriate respect to all of those angles of approach that you talked about, Zephyr, and does bite them here. WKK, however, they've been chomping on squads for a very long time today. They're hoping to do that one more time outside of the ring, pushing into what is, I imagine, their goals of a crafter. Not a whole lot of great shields on them so far, and do not take that evac tower, my friend. He will not even get to touch it. Good God.
WKK already down with 1. Curious if they want to see the full force swing into zone here. Obviously, that kind of decision making can always come at its danger, but maybe they'll look for it. Obviously, the full wipe is important. Finally, portal coming through. Kuzme is disconnected, so I think I understand what's happening. That is also so aggro. Who takes Wraith portals? That is like rule number 1 of do not. While your teammate is disconnected.
Kuzma is going to come back and have himself a little bit of extra KP. You know what I'm saying? They want to get a present for him.
Bruh, just log off. Like, it don't matter, apparently.
At this
it
point,
hopefully it gets back, though. I'd hate the delay of action, then you're not really in zone, and plenty more to actually fight against. For now, we'll take a look at the Timbits. Already coming through. Perchix will be dropped. Blinkster, though, with response as Armada returns just as quickly. Lane, though, notably full health in this kind of recovery, and man, they're gonna go for some revives. Why not?
They're just sticking this like a Giga Chad. Perkix is back in the game.
You have to.
Full recovery, nearly impossible at this point, though. A quick shield swap did come through. Smoke on the way out. I mean, leaving Blinkster behind. That's if the Timbits can even escape. Perkix is eating bullets left and right and has to dip down into the bunker where there's almost no safety to be had. R99 does come back, but from long distance, the Nemesis takes down Perkix, and Lane, lucky to be alive, is only temporarily so.
It's a shame, too, after what has been such an incredible performance from Timbits, what feels like all day long here. We'll have to say goodbye after at least the third party of Ryan Reynolds, but hopefully returns at least tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Canadian Demons still laying stake up here. Pyra stuck below as Decoy finally able to truly respond, get up to that high ground, find the 34 necessary, and turn right round to pin it out as well. Gotta be careful, though. A little bit of the bamboozle for the foozles here as we'll pin so much of that flesh damage. Demons are in control.
So effective on Mirage from up on the high ground as well. As soon as you hit the ultimate, you have so many decoys dropping down that it's very difficult to isolate which one of them is the Mirage that really wants to finish you off. And now, we got people jumping up on the high ground out of the gravity lift. What looks like suicide to the Canadian Demons almost works out. Decoy does go down. Zervo falls as well. Grandpa clutches it up, though, and we, the North, fall.
Now, I need to see some recoveries here sometime soon to really get this team, back in play. But at the end of it, I don't think just about anybody is truly set up to now respond from the east there. We'll see rotations in at least a little bit later on from WKK as there's Kuzme finally officially out. So I guarantee you they're still set up at the literal launch pad area now with the banner in hand.
Plenty of space to move around the rest of this map as well. No matter what your situation at this point, you got 10 teams left. It's our most aggressive game of the day, and we haven't actually taken a look at the map yet. I'd bring it up if we can, because we've got, to be generous, one squad in the actual next zone. Everybody else just vibing outside. The Acorns, they're one of those squads. And it looks like they're going to be subtracting another one from the equation.
taking themselves a step forward here. Will have to chase into the face of the Rolling Thunder, but it is nowhere close to where it needs to be for this roster. As a result, set up, Flesh found, and Hercules down here. AOS, I assume, now left to just the one Bio. In for the hills and potentially further, heading for the ocean.
A really unfortunate day for KOS, or Kill on Sight. They loaded into today's games all as a duo, and despite that actually have been placing respectively, given that they don't have firepower to work with. But having to play even a single day out as a duo could really impact their standings when we start thinking about what teams are going to make the cutoff for finals and what teams are not. At this point, it's more a game of survival than anything, and that just seems like something that Kill on Sight have been unable to do in a sort of ironic way, given their name.
Taking their time on the back end, though, is something that might come with a bit of a price there later on. Meanwhile, big fights happening, double angles. Ryan Reynolds is the team that I want to take a look at here. They've already found themselves to the mill and further. Sales, Zuni, and Tangy caught out from behind, but no real damage to elicit complete dominance, and they've lost him a little bit. I can't believe Riley's going for this on the back end. That is just aggro.
Gotta appreciate the gumption. Doesn't go down for it either. Instead, opens things up for Trevstacks to come in, taking down Tangy and Sales with the help of Riley. Cobra's still stuck healing up, but Ryan Reynolds have all but won this fight in its entirety with just one member standing.
Taking their time here. Cobra, obviously, with that full heal coming through with the Venus kit, set this roster up to poise themselves for success. And with this loot, they should be able to now get their track set back on that zone here, but still losing out on that final KP. Always got to feel a little bad.
He's just, please leave me alone. And the problem here is that Ryan Reynolds, they are one of the teams that's running Seer. They can find the last remaining member next door to them. It's a question of really whether they will or not as evac tower gets deployed, and I suppose they want to make their way into the zone.
I was about to say, please do not. I'm confused. Riley opting to take the whip himself. He says, "See you, folks," and
we're going.
Is he even gonna like pick them up? He does. We do not care. We do not care. Riley says, "I ain't got the heels to waste, boys. I am out of here. You can fend for yourself."
Avid Kuzma, it appears. Trevstacks gonna survive this ring by just a bit. The syringe, enough to keep him in the game as we approach checkpoint, and we approach on a large scale a ring much like what we had just last game. The Canadian Demons, already set up inside it, and aim assist abuse are making their way through the south, costing them a lot of meds en route.
Taking their time here. H2O, this is kind of what I talked about when it came back down to the resources expended here. And for WKK, it's really no better. Kuzme is back into it officially, though. I do want to make mention of, so the banner was sustained and revived. A Dark Veil expended here, and there's no heals coming out, so I'm going to try to see if they can extend for that full revive in just a moment, offer the smoke, and then send that one into full zone here, and that's when you start getting that one back up.
It just straight up doesn't have meds. This has got to be the story here. WKK, we've had him fall often enough that must be the case. A med kit now. So only having med kits left. In zone 2, that will genuinely kill you. So well played from WKK, just on the thinnest of margins to make their way in.
Meanwhile, Bricked on the opposite end here. They opt to fight for the opposite side and run right into the head of another team here. Harp, this last remaining member, slowly being snuffed out, is on this wraith, potentially for their own success. I find it so risky to truly take a portal like that, especially with what I can only assume is really no actual. No, there's no way they get fooled by that, like at all. Now you just don't have port.
Yeah, now.
And now you just die. I get what they were trying to do.
I thought I got what they were trying to do, but then they took the port.
Well, it's because he was tracked down. Anyways, we can get to it in a second. Canadian Demons here on their own fight forward. Granted, Decoy looking low, but job done. We say goodbye to Thumpers as we take a round 3 close to 6 squads remaining.
Like we said, most aggressive game today, and it's no small wonder why. Knowing that you've only got 2 days to put up points, it's time to really get yourself on the board if you haven't already, and the Canadian Demons certainly have not felt like their performance was what they were expecting going into today's games. WKK, on the other side, have had the day of their dreams and are looking to push it just a little bit further. Quick round from Kate, almost takes down a squad member. However, now is being pushed on themselves. There's a flank from the back that Wi-Fi spots out, and aim assist abuse are just erased. 5 squads left, and we're gonna drop yet another as we've got some people exploding into boxes. Wi-Fi taking them down one at a time. Prowler shots almost going to be enough, and instead we're trying to find the full thirst for a quick shield swap. It was a scan that came through onto WKK. Wi-Fi is down. Last member falls. Ryan Reynolds are out, but in comes the third-party Canadian Demons, finally able to punish WKK, making sure that 2 of their members will be gone for good and wanting to finish off that third as fast as possible. Kate will be lucky to escape, and luck is not on his side.
Canadian Demons now officially the only 3-man roster left in this lobby. Ultimately,
GG!
At this point, guaranteed to pick up the win. I feel like, I mean, enough said. It truly has been told. It's been a lovely story to tell regarding WKK all day long and the phenomenal performance that they have had here. Truth is, Canadian Demons been waiting for this one. Second place, time in, time again. Definitely doesn't sell the strength of this roster.
Yeah, and make no mistake, this is the story that we're going to get the time to tell once more. One that I'm surprised to be still telling is one that I'd almost written off. I actually had written off earlier in the game. Kill on Sight are still in this. As a duo, having lost Hercules earlier, they are right back as 2 members, what they started the game with, and they've made it all the way into 3rd place. They're doing more than some squads are with 3 people.
It's true, and to be honest, with what I can... I'm confused. Is someone mirroring them from behind?
It's Mirage.
Oh...
I know.
Losing my mind.
I know.
That should tell you how often we see Mirage in any sense when it comes to Apex. Man, I saw a standard ability and went, there's no way.
Yeah. It's okay. I have been there. In fact, I was there moments ago. This is our last remaining rat, however, and I do find myself curious. Who is going to survive longer? Kill on Sight are technically louder and more obtrusive. Not just that, but closer to the Canadian Demons.
I
think the one thing they've got going for them is that they're following the Canadian Demons.
Hunting for this last remaining member here. I can only imagine it's likely to be C1, potentially found out a bit earlier. Canadian Demons potentially kicking themselves in the head now for not having something like that seer. I will say, they are making themselves more than well known across this entire map regarding their current position. So for Kill on Sight, they're more than happy to take their time on the opposite angle. It's like a game of Ring Around the Rosie.
I actually, I really love the position of Kill on Sight because Canadian Demons have already been there. I think they're writing it off. And, they're just going to find C1 very, very soon, by the way.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't even know. I don't think Decoy's spotted him yet, but it's going to be within the next couple seconds. Look at that. There we go. There's C1. Out comes the Horizon Ultimate, and we're in the last 2 squads. Remember, Kill on Sight as a duo have survived to 2nd, and that's got to be a victory that we're counting today because the Canadian Demons do finally find one of their own. The final win of the day belongs to them in the TELUS Esports Series 3. Comes to its first day of playoffs. Oh my lord, Zerbo is really moving.
I'll tell you what, slip and slide his way all the way into a final victory here. It's definitely something that I think the Canadian Demons have deserved, and they finally pulled the trigger in a way that I think is appropriate here. I will say WKK never really got their best foot forward because of that early disconnect from Kuzme, so they're already kind of in a very rocky place, but looking for the advantageous third parties as Canadian Demons is still super duper important. Remember, they had just finished off Thumpers in that North Pad area. They could have stuck around. They could have played zone. They could have slowed the pace there, and it's something that actually happened in a previous game that allowed WKK to get themselves all the way back into a place of action. Remember, it was that World's Edge game all the way in the no-name village. It's like we're literally seeing the Demons learn their lesson here as they make their way through the day, and that's what makes them scary.
Yeah, it's this continued adaptability, and that's to say nothing of their historic performance in the TELUS Esports Series 2, where we've now jumped into our third. As we mentioned, we've still got plenty of titles to compete in, and with the playoffs coming up, you've got the chance to watch whatever you like of Canadian esports. To keep up to date with Canadian esports that TELUS is building and supporting at a grassroots level, join our Discord, connect with gamers across Canada, find yourself some friends and go play some games, and if you want, maybe just join a tournament. We've also, of course, got to shout out TELUS and the wonderful work that they do outside of gaming with the TELUS Friendly Future Foundation. They are, of course, the charity put on by TELUS that manages to more or less gather donations and put them into the right place. If you're looking to support youth across Canada in their development and empowerment to make Canada a more fair, equal, and wonderful place to be, consider checking out the TELUS Friendly Future Foundation and the amazing work that they do. We've got our Discord, we got the TELUS Friendly Future Foundation. We are making an impact here in Canada, and it wouldn't be possible without all of our sponsors, the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, Skullcandy, Logitech, Astro, and, as we've been saying their name the whole time, TELUS. We've got 50K worth of prizing throughout these events, so plenty to look forward to, Zephyr.
And hopefully, obviously, if you have a chance, see if you can luck out with the giveaways of your own there. It's something that I know all of you have the opportunity to do, so why not? Throw your hands up in the air and say, wayo.
It has been a pleasure to come through the TELUS Esports Series 3 with you, Zephyr. This is going to be my last day on the broadcast for the TELUS Esports Series 3, but we're going to be getting a boatload of new, incredible, talented casters to walk you through the rest of our semifinals, finals, and all. So look forward. You guys will get to see Zephyr a little bit more tomorrow as well, and I'm sure he'll have some banger puns for you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you tomorrow.